shall start.
Yeah.
Om Satoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. The subject of my talk today is Buddha's way to peace. Buddha's birthday was on last Thursday, and because of these restrictions, we could not celebrate it in a public way. But we had worship service and also some special offering. So in that way, we celebrated. But Buddha's message is eternal, and it is always good to remember his life and his teachings. And today being the Mother's Day also, I would have the occasion of talking about Buddha's mother and also his wife. Wife was also mother because Rahul was his son. So in that way, I have combined the two things together. Buddha, as you know, was born in India in the year about 2564 years ago. That means it is about 560 years, or some scholars say it is 564 years, whatever it may be. It is quite about definitely 560 years we can think of. So his father's name was Suddhodhan, and they belong to a tribe called Sakko tribe. And in that area, there are two tribes, Sakko and Kolia. And they ruled that area, and we see that they were very intermixed tribes. His mother's name was Maya Devi, and the name of the Sakko kingdom was the capital of the Sakko kingdom was Kopilavastu. So the story goes in this way that when Buddha was to be born, his mother, Maya Devi, wanted to go to her father's place. That was quite normal, customary, that women like to go to their parents' house. So, but on the way, in a place called Lumbini, she gave birth to Buddha. And the name at the time of his birth was Siddhartha. And she did not continue her journey and returned to Kopilavastu. But unfortunately, within 7 days of the birth of Lord Buddha, Maya Devi passed away. And the responsibility of taking care or raising Buddha was given to Maha Prajapati. That means she was a cousin of Maya Devi, and both of them were married to Suddhodhan. And she took care of Siddhartha when he was born. Then she became the stepmother, and it so happened that she also had her son Nanda born at that time, and she had later on one daughter also called Nanda, I believe. So Maha Prajapati Gautami, that was her full name. She took care and raised Buddha. As was the common custom in those days that the king commissioned astrologers to find the future, what is in the future of the newborn son. So there were a group of astrologers, but head of them, his name was Osito, and he lived in a forest area in the mountains, and he was very respected. He said that I see that there are two possibilities. One possibility is that if he becomes a king, he is a Chakravarti. Chakravarti means the emperor. That means he will expand the kingdom, and in that way he will be ruling a large territory. And there is another possibility that if he sees sorrows of the humanity, there is a possibility that he will renounce. That means he will become a monk. He will renounce everything and do spiritual practice. And also, if he becomes that, he will be a great establisher. That means he will establish a big community of spiritual group. So that was the two forecast. So all the astrologers agreed with him, but one of the junior most astrologer, his name was Codino. He was probably very young at that time, and he said that no, there is only one possibility, that will renounce and become a great organizer and great leader of a religion. So he was very certain about that. So naturally, the father doesn't want the son to quit the life of a householder or to become a monastic member. So he arranged the living or raising up Buddha in a place, in a palace. And the palace was a large garden. That means it was a very big property, and there are several palaces there. And according to season, Buddha used to live there. Buddha means at that time he is Siddhartha, as I told you. So he started living, and all arrangements for his teaching and training, and also he had the opportunity of young people, boys and girls of his age, coming and mingle with Siddhartha. That also was arranged. So in that way, time passed, and we see that at the age of 16, he became very proficient in scriptures, proficient in politics, proficient in archery and such other things that he learned. And in that way, he became a very capable prince. So at the age of 16, he was given to marriage to a girl, her name was Jasodhara, otherwise also known as Gopa. And uh, uh, she was also, it is said that she was also born on the same day. That means she was also at the age of 16, and she was also born on the same day as Buddha was born. And of course, in a different family that we can understand. So in that way, they are of the same age. And time passed, they are very happy. And ultimately, we see that at the age of 29, a son was born to the couple. His name was Rahul. And at that time, Buddha thought that now time is coming, my father is getting old, and I need to see if I become if I have to rule the kingdom. So I need to know who are my subjects. So that is a very legitimate question that came to his mind. So he asked his father that I am always in this area. That means you have not allowed me to go outside these walls of the palace, but I need to know whom I shall rule. So I need to see my subjects. So father thought that yes, it is a right question, a right point that he has raised. So he arranged Buddha's travel to outside the palace garden. But he ordered that all the things outside should be very festive. So all the streets were decorated very nicely. People were very jewelry and they had new clothes. And in that way, they were very happy because Prince is coming out of the palace for the first time. So everything was arranged in a very beautiful way and full of celebration. And Buddha had a very uh, faithful charioteer. He had a chariot, and the chariot, his name was Chunda, and they were of the same age, more or less they are friends. So Chundo took out Siddhartha in the streets, and while passing through the streets, he saw the people in festive mood, but his attention was drawn to a person who was really was walking, his body was bent, and he was supporting himself on a cane, and he was slowly walking. And Buddha did not have an opportunity to see such a person. So he was surprised and asked Chundo, who is this person? Why he is walking in that way? So Chundo explained that, well, he is an old man, and he does not have strength enough to walk straight on his own. So he has taken the help of a cane. So Siddhartha asked Chundo, what is old age? So Chunda explained that, well, as we grow in age, everybody will become old and capacity of the body will be diminished. And then we have to take help. And in that way, everybody will have to face that situation. And Buddha was very surprised. And he has never seen an old person. And he thought that, well, everybody will have to pass to this situation, and also I have to pass. So that made him very thoughtful. And the first day of the journey was ended. And the second day, when he went out, he saw that one person was sitting in a corner of a house on the what is called porch, and he was lamenting, almost crying, and was what is called he was what is called very uneasy. So Siddhartha asked Chunda, what has happened to that person? Why he has not joined in this festivity? Why he is almost crying and lamenting? So he said that that person has disease. That means he has been attacked by some disease. That is why he is having pain in the body and he is very uncomfortable. So that is why he is in that condition. Then he asked, what is disease? So disease, Chunda had to explain that, well, we are healthy, but there is always a possibility that some ailment may come. That means we may suffer from some ailment. That means the body may be attacked by some elements. And then we have to suffer, and, then we have to take treatment and all those things. Then Siddhartha came to know about what is called what is disease. He did not have the opportunity of seeing a diseased person. So that made him thoughtful again. That means second thoughts came to his mind, he bothered him, that disease. On third day, actually, he saw a person who is being carried away on a what is called a stretcher like a carrier by several persons, and behind him there was a long queue, long group of people who were crying, and he had not never seen this type of scene. So again, he asked Chunda, what has happened to this person? And Chunda explained that this person has died. Died means he has left, the soul has left his body, and he is just like an inert substance, that inert entity. And behind him are the people who belong to his family. That means probably his wife, children, and relatives. So by the loss of their dear one, they are crying. So they are taking him to the burning place, cremation ground. So Buddha actually came to know about death. He said that it will happen to everybody. That means everybody will die. That means he will have to leave the body. So that was the third experience that he had, and that made him very thoughtful. That means everybody will have to face old age, disease, and ultimately death. And fourth day, actually, when he went, he saw a person who is in ochre robe and with the head shaven and with a begging bowl. And he was going from house to house, and some people are giving him something, a fistful of food or something like that, and he was moving. So he did not see such a person earlier. So I asked Chunda, who is that person? So Chunda explained that he is a monk. That means he has renounced everything in search of immortality, how actually one can transcend the sufferings of the life. So he takes a little food and does his spiritual practices, meditation, and in that way he spends and trying to discover where is the end of this suffering. So that also Buddha noted. That means that also made him thoughtful. So in that way, 4 days went away, and Buddha came back, and then he started thinking that this is the situation of the outside world, and he was trying to figure out how actually I can find out a solution of these four calamities or four dangers of life. So he started thinking, then ultimately he came to a conclusion. He resolved that the fourth person is the right person. That means he's trying to find out a solution, and I shall also try to do that. So after the birth of his son, Rahul, when he was born, he was very much thoughtful and said that now I am going deeper into my householder's life, and if I cannot really escape now, probably I shall not be able to do anything later on. So he decided to quit, renounce. So on the seventh day of the birth of the son, it is said that he stealthily came out of the palace and asked his charioteer Chunda to get a horse. And both of them actually mounted on the horse, and he ordered him to take him out of this Sakko kingdom. So all night, actually, they galloped through the countryside, and ultimately, when they came out of the boundary of the state, Sakko state, he asked Sundar to stop, and then he said, "You please take all my ornaments and garments and all those things and give it to my father Suddhodana, and tell him that the Siddhartha has renounced to find a solution for the suffering of humanity. And then you go back and don't follow me, and I shall come back if I have found a solution to that." So in that way, he started going straight out of the state and enter into the forest in search of a teacher. And Sunda was very much upset. He started crying, but it is a order of the prince, so he could not do anything. So he returned and declared to the king that your son has renounced and he has given back all these dresses. And he has said that if he finds a solution of the end of the sorrow, then he will come back. So Suddhodana was very much, naturally, was very much upset. And he tried, that means he sent emissaries to bring him back. But it is said that many of them went, but all of them, it is like that he probably they did not find out. And by that time, he had entered into the forest and trying to find out a guru. And there he found out two gurus. That means first one was Alara Kalama, as it is called. His name was, he was a sort of yogic type of thing. That means he practiced yoga, concentration, and all those things. And by seeing that prince has come to be his disciple, so he, with all his sincerity, he taught him. But after some time, Siddhartha felt that he is not in the right path. That means he is not finding comfort in his teachings. Then Alama enticed him, said that, well, when I die, that means I'm old. When I die, this ashrama, that means this retreat will be yours and you will be the teacher. So Buddha was not enticed. He said he quietly left that place and went to another place and found out another guru. His name was Uddalaka Ramaputra. So he was a little philosophical, and he said that, well, you study with me, and definitely you will be able to know what you are trying to know. So in that way, he stayed with him. But after some time, he thought that his teachings are not really suitable. That means he was not going nowhere, as it is called. Then he quit him, and ultimately it is said that he thought that, well, I shall try myself now. That means whatever I can do, I shall do myself. And in that way, he started walking towards one river, which is known as, nowadays it is called Folgu River, and it is called Uruvillo. That means Niranjana River, and on the bank of the river, there is a place which is called Uruvillo. It is now Bodh Gaya. So he came to that place, and it is said that when Siddhartha had left, five of his friends, that means compatriot, thought that let us go with him. That means let us find him out, and also we shall try to help him and try to do spiritual practice the way he is doing. One of them was Kaudinna, that means the youngest astrologer. So all of them actually had followed Siddhartha and ultimately came to the what is called on the bank of the river Niranjana. And Siddhartha actually started, all of them actually started intense austerities and started doing meditation and spiritual practice. And ultimately it is said that they became so emaciated. Siddhartha himself became so emaciated that his stomach actually became so thin that he could touch his backbone by touching his belly. So he was so, what is called, emaciated. And time to time he used to faint because there was no strength. And he could not do spiritual practice also as he wanted to do. So this was going on. Then one day he took a bath in the river and was coming for meditation, and then he actually fell on the ground. And at that time, there was a village girl nearby from a village. One girl was there. She was tending the cows and saw him and brought him to the consciousness. And she ran. She understood that because this person is very hungry, that is why he has become unconscious. So he went to the to her home and brought some payasam, rice pudding as it is called, and he gave that to Siddhartha, and he ate some quantity of that payasam. And in that way, after eating that payasam, he felt little strong. And he understood that, yes, because he did a lot of penances, that was the reason that he became very weak. And now onwards, he decided that he will not do that type of penances. So he kept that payasam and started doing meditation. So, and in meditation on that day, when he felt strong, he sat under the Ashwatha tree. That is a sort of banyan tree under which he sat. And he was very resolved. He said that now I have got the strength. Now I have to find out the solution. That means I have to reach the goal. So he uh, vowed, in this way that ihasane sussatu me shariram তগস্তি মাংসং প্রলয়ঞ্চ জাতু অপ্রাপ্য বোধিং বহু কল্প দুর্লভং নৈবা সনাত কায়ামতস চলিষ্যতে. That means, let my body perish on this seat. That means I shall not get up from this place until and unless I have discovered, I have reached the goal of my journey. That means until and unless I discover the truth, how actually one can get rid of the sorrow, I shall not move from this seat. And with that resolve, actually, he started doing meditation. And that was a full moon day. And it is said that he was born also in a full moon day. And he after intense spiritual practice on that particular night, actually, he had the revelation. That means it is called nirvana. He found the solution. That means he found out that there is a way by which actually, by knowing which actually, or by reaching that stage, one can get rid of sorrow of life and death. So that conclusion came to him. And to test, it is said that for 49 days afterwards, he did the same meditation, and he confirmed that, yes, this is the perfect state by reaching which one can really get rid of sorrow. Then he thought that, yes, now I have this, what is called, I have found out my way, and now I have to teach the world. Because he actually did not want, as it is in the life of other spiritual persons, we see that by reaching the goal, that by reaching their own personal salvation, as it is called, they end there. But Buddha's intention was not like that. He did not want his personal salvation or personal liberation. He wanted to liberate others or liberate or end the sorrows of others. So that was his goal. So naturally, he wanted to share his knowledge. And by this time, it so happened that 5 of his what is called compatriots, by seeing that he has broken the vow of austerity, fasting, and took the payasam, that means ate something, they thought that he has broken his vow. So they quit him, and they actually started to walk towards Varanasi. That means after quitting him, they were on their way back home. So Buddha, after attainment, Siddhartha, as we know his name was Siddhartha, after attainment of this bodhi, this nirvana, he came to be known, or he changed his name to Buddha. That means a person who has known who has the awakening. So he, after realization and spending 49 days being confirmed that he has the what is called right knowledge, so he started walking towards Varanasi. Kashi, Varanasi, Benares, as it is known, it is on the bank of the Ganges. It is a very sacred place and very well-known place, and at that time it was a seat of great learning also. And many spiritual teachers or learned persons go there and study there, learn there, and preach there also. So he thought that it would be appropriate to go there and give his message to humanity. So with that intention, he started walking towards Varanasi. And in the meantime, when he was walking through the woods, he found the friends actually found him. That means they met. And by seeing Buddha, they were very much impressed. They thought that something might have happened to him. That is why his appearance has completely changed. Then they asked Buddha that what has happened to you? Buddha said that I have found out what I was really searching. And in that way, they asked him to share that knowledge, and he actually shared that knowledge with them. So they became his first disciples. That means Kaudinna and other four friends became his first disciples. They followed Buddha. Then ultimately they came to the city of Varanasi, but Buddha did not enter into the city. He camped outside in a place called Sarnath or Mrigodabo. It is a sort of park, if you call it. And there people from the city used to come and walk there and for exercise or whatever it may be. So in that way, they used to come there, and Buddha sat there quietly. And when he was sitting there, one businessman of Varanasi, he actually found that that man is very beautiful to look at and very what is called contemplative. So he approached him and said that, well, I want to know what has happened to me. Who are you, and what is the purpose of your coming here, and all those things. So he said that he has this knowledge and he wants to share this knowledge with uh, uh, humanity at large, that means other people. So that businessman went to the city and called a large number of people, and then he started his preaching. That is called what is called that that was the first teaching of Lord Buddha. That means Dharma Chakra Pravartan, as it is called, that he started rolling the what is called wheel of religion at that place. So that was the first sermon that he gave there. And his sermons were all very simple. Simple in a sense that same thing he repeated everywhere. And naturally, because of simplicity, people had many questions also how actually these things can be done in their personal life. So in that way, he used to advise them, give counseling and all those things. And in that way, he started preaching. And by staying in different places, they are called what is called retreats. So he used to camp outside the cities, and people used to come, and he used to teach them. And also throughout the day, that means his routine was very interesting. That means in the early morning, he used to do his meditation, and then he used to go to the village or city where he used to camp. And when he actually used to move, his retinue means followers, monks and nuns also used to follow him, and in that way they used to go for begging alms. So after begging alms, he used to return, and then he used to preach. That means there are different sessions for different categories of people. That means he had those who are very in the initial stage. For them, there is a class, if you call it. Then there is a little advanced. Those who has already started practicing. For them, there was one. So in that way, there are several sessions of teachings that he used to give every day, and that took away the whole day of his every day he used to do that. And towards the end, that means he for himself, he used to keep a little time when he used to do meditation or think about his organization which he has established. And also he used to sleep only 2 or 3 hours every day at night. So in this way, we see that he spent 45 years of his life in teaching. So what was his teaching? That is the very important for us to know, because that takes us to the liberation. That means to bodhi, as it is called, what he has himself attained. So first is that there were what is called you have to have the right view of life. That means you need to know that life has there is certainty about few things in the life. The first is that there is existence of sorrow. That means one cannot really avoid sorrow. Sorrow in a sense, that means we have definitely happy moments in our life, but in ultimate sense, we see that everything boils down to sorrow. Even happiness, they are transitory. That means after happiness, there is we lose happiness. So naturally, that itself is a sorrow. And what to say about other sorrows that we are? That means we have to experience death, disease, old age. They are full of sorrows. So he said that we have to accept that there is in everybody's life experience of sorrow will come, or we are experiencing sorrow. The second is that is called a right view. That means our actions have consequences. Death is not the end, and our actions and beliefs have consequences after death. Not only that, in this death, after suffering in the life, also in Buddhism there is a belief in afterlife also. Then also we shall suffer, or we shall come back again, and also again we have to suffer. This is a cyclic thing. And he said that Buddha followed and taught successful path out of the world and the other world, that means heaven or hell, whatever you call. Later on, right view came to explicitly include karma and rebirth. That means it is a cycle of karma. Good deeds will bring good karma, and bad deeds will be bad karma. In that way, actually, we have to understand that. Then, of course, he said the second truth that we have to accept is that there is a cause of sorrow. That means all the sorrows that we suffer, there must be some cause. So this is karma. That means our actions actually bring results of the action. In that way, actually we suffer. Then he said that cessation of sorrow is there. That means you have to believe that there is cessation of sorrow. That he actually found out himself by doing a deep meditation. So in the bank of the river under the Bodhi tree, he had the illumination, and that actually is the first is by which actually one can get rid of sorrow. And there is a path. That means there are ways of attainment of that, reach that cessation of sorrow also. That is the what is called attainment of the ultimate realization. So that path is called Eight Noble Path. That means what are the steps or ways by following which, or in the life, if certain amount of discipline is necessary, or certain guideline is there in the life, by following which one can actually attain to the stage of illumination. So that is called Eight Noble Path. As you know, in all spiritual practices, there are certain disciplines that needed to be followed. Those who do meditation, they know that always there is certain, just one cannot just jump into meditation. It is not possible. So we have to look to the other aspects also, how actually you're coming to meditation, what is my lifestyle, by adjustment of the lifestyle, whether I can get more concentration. All those things automatically come to a person who have a little experience of meditation. So Buddha actually knew that, so he chalked out for everybody. That means it is a simple path. He did not get into the complexity of what is called argument, how actually one can reach or whether it is there and all those things. Just believe. That means there is sorrow, that is evident. That means everybody is experiencing that. And then also by introspection, we can figure out that there is certain reason for which actually one suffers. And then Buddha said that there is a way by which one can get rid of sorrow. That was his teaching. And then finally, he chalked out the steps by which one can get rid of sorrow. So they are called Eightfold Path or Eight Noble Paths. There, first is that already it has been said, a right view. Second is the right resolve or resolution. That means it is this that the giving up of home and adapting the life of a religious mendicant in order to follow the path. It is an extreme path. Those who want to totally renounce, for them it is important to renounce everything, resolve. And then actually we see that there should be the concept aims at peaceful renunciation. That means it is not that somebody had to be driven out, or by being angry they will have to do it, but by full understanding one has to quit the path of what is called involvement in the householder's life, into a mendicant, into an environment of non-sensuality. That means controlled life. That means sense enjoyments actually cannot get into the what is called take to. There is no progress in the spiritual life if somebody is really in the life of sensuality. So then he said that not ill will. That means everybody should be kind to others. That means attitude of kindness should be cultivated, and away from cruelty and to compassion. That means one has to be compassionate to every being, not only human being, not only what is called family members of the family, but in general for outside everybody, human beings as well as other beings. And such an environment is contemplation. That means in that type of attitude and that type of environment, quitting the place of family life actually helps in the practice of meditation. So we'll see that Sri Ramakrishna also has said that to cultivate spirituality, to in search of God, when aim, that means the great teacher, that student came to Sri Ramakrishna, he asked how to lead a spiritual life. So Sri Ramakrishna said, you must go to a secluded place, that means away from the family life. And also you have to have holy company. Holy company means you have to know how to practice spirituality from a person who is actually is into the involved into the spirituality. So that is very important. And we see that later on Buddhism, even householders also quit life. That means they take the vow of monasticism, not permanently. Many people do permanently. That means they become monks. But even householders also quit for some time, maybe 1 month or 2 months or maybe several months. In that way, according to the capacity and circumstances, they actually live the family life and live with the monks in a retreat to do intense spiritual practice. That is a quite custom. It is still actually this custom is still followed. You'll find in many Buddhistic countries and Buddhistic community. So this is the what is called right resolve. That means that quitting the what is called day-to-day life and with a resolve of such a highest good and practice of kindness and all those things. Then he said that right speech, practice of right speech is important because speech has got its consequences. If you are sweet and nice, naturally you have friends and other people will like you. But if you are harsh and rude, actually that means it will not only it will make you mentally disturbed, and not others also, those who will be around you, they will also be very much upset and disturbed. So the environment will be poisonous. That is the point. So he said that it is important to practice right speech. So it is not lying and no rude speech, not telling one person what another says that may about him to cause discord or harm the relationship. Sometimes we do like this. We just complain about somebody to some and talk to somebody ill things to others. In that way also we do that. Those things are needs to be corrected because that type of practices do not lead to spiritual life. Then right conduct or action. That means refraining from killing, stealing, and the different types of moral misconduct. Those things have to be avoided. They are extreme type of mental disturbances. Those who practice that, it is not possible for them to control the mind in meditation. Then right livelihood also. That means there are certain livelihoods that require violence. That means if you're a soldier, so naturally you have to practice how to kill other people, enemy. So that type of profession does not help into spiritual life. And also hunting life or butcher's life, those lives are not really suitable for spirituality. No, then he says that right livelihood, that means gaining one's livelihood by benefiting others. Also, the professions like saying weapons, poisons, and intoxicants, they are also not good, that he said. Just a minute. Then right effort, that means preventing the arising of unwholesome states and generating wholesome states. That means the seven, including the Indriya Sangha, that means gardening in the sense door, that means training the sense faculties. That is naturally a livelihood and conduct. They after their control automatically. This right effort, that means control of the senses, will come. Then actually we can go for meditation, as it is called, right mindfulness. That is the meditation. It is a retention, being mindful of teachings and elements, what is being taught, reflecting on that, and they are beneficial to the in this path. So it is attention, that means never to be absent-minded. The concentration should be kept on some object, or attention should be like this, that means mind should be alert what the thoughts are passing through it. In that way, one should really practice what is called mindfulness. And this is this teaching is called mindfulness in Buddhism. And there are different types of meditation that we see in yoga literature is there. But this is very important for the Buddhist path. That means just be an observer. And in that way, what is passing through the mind, just follow that. And in that way, you will be able to discover that you are really what is called observer only. And that actually leads to the self-realization. If we discover who is the observer, that is the, in all meditation actually, that is the goal of discovering who is the observer, ultimate observer. So in Vedanta we say Atman, that means consciousness itself is observing everything. And for that there are different methods, but in Buddhism it is mindfulness, that means observing what is passing through the mind, continuously watching that. Then this encourages the awareness of the impermanence of body, feeling, and mind. Observance means what thoughts are going on, and all the thoughts, if you watch actually, that shows that impermanence of the things that we are really going through. That means experiences that we are going through. And uh, in that way, actually, one can practice mindfulness. And ultimately, one, after concentration of the mind, right samadhi, as it is called, practicing the stage of meditation, this type of meditation, which includes samadhi, that means properly reaching to the next stage. And that gives the what is called uh, ultimate realization. So it is said that he always explained these things and taught these things, and naturally, while practice and all these stages are there, so different persons at different stages, so they used to bring their problems during the practice. And also, Buddha had by that time had a large following. That means during his lifetime, it is said that he had at least 500 arhats, that means 500 realized person, that means those who had the highest realization. And Buddha's teaching is this, that means what he had attained, he never said that it is only for me. That means you will not be able to attain, only I can attain it. It was not like that. He said that for everybody, the experience they had, that is available. That means Bodhi is a sort of birthright for everybody. It is not exclusively for, that means Buddha. So in that way, he said, that is a very unique teaching. In other religious teachers like that, teachers are always superior. That means avatars, they are so superior that we cannot reach them. We cannot be one with them. That means we cannot one a human being, but we cannot one with the Buddha. So in that way, Buddha teaching is this, that means Thank you very much for your patience. There was little interruption because the battery was exhausted. So I continue. Huh?
Yes, please.
So can you hear me? Just raise your hand. Thank you. Yeah. So this is a teaching of Lord Buddha that we see that he used to preach. Now, just towards the end of his life, it is like for 45 years he actually preached, and ultimately he came to know that his time has come. So he went to a place called Kushinagar to meet one devotee, and he was entertained by that devotee, and he ate some food which was really not good, and ultimately he had a colic pain, as it is called, and had blood dysentery. So he suffered, and ultimately he passed away. And at that time, he had a few devotees around him. One of them was Ananda, who was his cousin also, and he used to take care of Buddha for maybe 25 or 30 years. So he asked that my time has come. So those who are there, if you have any question, please ask me, because I shall go away now. So they said, and some of them had some questions, and actually one person came from a long distance to learn from Buddha. So the what is called his uh, disciples thought that it is not the right time for a new person to approach Buddha. But Buddha, when he heard that he has come for a long distance, he asked him to come and taught him. And ultimately, he left his body. And his last saying is that subject to decay are all composite things. Strive diligently for liberation. Atma Dipo Bhavo. That means strive, that means be light to yourself. That means Buddha emphasized on one's own effort, not just for what is called blessings and all those things. That means once the path is given, that means once the method is taught, he encouraged, that means encourage the followers to practice themselves and work out their own salvation. So in that way, Buddha, we see, and he did not leave any what is called successor as such. That means he was very democratic in that way. After his passing away, his body was cremated, and some of many his hairs and tooth and all those things, teeth and all those things were really carried by the followers and made into put into the places of worship and for meditation. Uh, in that way, many devotees and monks actually spread his message. And they formed, after Buddha's passing away, they formed a council. One of the disciples, monastic disciples, became the chairman, if you call it. That means that is a sort of elected post. So in that way, time to time, two, three times actually, you see, in several hundred years, they used to organize that, and in that way, they used to select their leaders. In that way, Buddhism actually spread. And Buddhism, as such, was a branch of Hinduism when it originated. But later on, it became so popular that many Hindus actually got converted. And we see for 100 years, it was the main religion of India. Then, of course, it spread all over Asia, north, east, and south, and also west of Asia, in that we spread all over the world. Now I told you that I shall talk to you about the mother of Buddha. After his attainment of Bodhi, his father wanted him to come back because he has the purpose for which he had left he is done now. So he wanted him back, and he started sending emissaries, but none of them was really successful. Afterwards, Kaudinno, that means one that a compatriot, that means who was with him, he persuaded him and was successful to bring him to what is called at Shuddhadhan's place, that means at the capital of Sakka kingdom. And there he stayed outside palace, that means he did not enter into the palace. And naturally, father came and told him that he would take over the reign of this kingdom, but he naturally he refused. And it is said that after after spending some time meeting his mother and wife and child, they also took vow of monasticism. Vow of monasticism means that follows his path first. That means they first became his disciples, mother and wife uh, and his brother and his son. And his father also followed him. And it is said that at the time of the death of his father, Buddha was not present there, but he came and he taught him. And it is said that he also became Arhat, that means a realized person. And after the passing of Suddhodhan, naturally Prajapati Gautami and Buddha's wife Yasodhara, they expressed desire to become bhikkhuni. Bhikshuni means, that means nuns. And Buddha actually did not agree to that. So for some time, actually, he had arguments with his other monastic disciples, especially Ananda, who was taking care of Lord Buddha, asked him that why do you not admit what is called women in your in your order? Are they not capable of having the highest realization? Buddha said, no, it is not like that. They are also capable of having the highest realization. So in that way, then actually the dialogue is like this: Lord, are women capable of realizing the various stages of sainthood as nuns? Buddha said, they are, Ananda. If that is so, Lord, then it would be good if women could be ordained as nuns, Ananda said. And he encouraged Buddha to reply. Then Buddha replied, if Ananda, Maha Prajapati Gautami, that means his mother, stepmother, that means foster mother, would accept the 8 conditions, it would be regarded that she has been ordained already as a nun. She actually, after she took what is called teachings from Buddha, she lived a very simple life, just like a nun. She and Buddha's wife and other Sakko women, a large number of women actually took refuge in Buddha. So he said to Ananda that there are, Buddha actually enunciated rules for monastics, that is called Vinaya Pitha, and that was a code of conduct. So he said that in addition to that Vinaya Pitha, if these women follow another 8 rules, then they can be ordained into monastic vows. That means they can become nun. And Mahaprajapati Gautami and others actually accepted that, and in that way they formed what is called a monastic group of women. So Gautami agreed to accept 8 Guru Dharmas, that means that they are called Guru Dharmas, and was accorded the status of the first bhikkhuni, that means first monastic member of Buddhism. And at that time there is no other what is called monastic order of Buddhism, because Buddhism, as you know, before Christ, 500 years before Christ, and in Hinduism also there was no such facility as such. So he became the first bhikkhuni, and subsequent women had to undergo full ordination to become nuns. Then she actually, those who followed this rule, and they used to be ordained as nuns. So Maha Prajapati Gautami, after what is called, became a Theri. Thera means monks and Theri means nuns. In that way, she actually composed one poem dedicated to Lord Buddha. So this poem is very simple, but I'd like to share that poem with you, that feeling of gratitude to us Buddha by his stepmother, Maha Prajapati Gautami. So he says in this poem, Buddha, hero, praise be to you, you foremost among all beings. You who have released me from pain, and so many other beings too. All suffering has been understood. The source of craving has withered. Cessation has been touched by me on the noble eightfold path. So in praise of eightfold path, actually, she said, I have been mother and son before. That means in previous lives, I was like this. I have been mother and son before, and father, brother, grandmother too. Not understanding what was real, I flowed on without finding peace. But now I have seen the Blessed One. That means I have seen you. That means I realized Buddha. This is my last compounded form. That means this is my last birth. The one flowing of birth has expired. There is no more re-becoming now. So he's saying, in this birth I have seen you, and I have taken refuge in you. So this is the last birth, and I shall not be born again. See the gathering of followers, putting forth effort, self-controlled, always with strong resolution. This is how to honor the Buddhas. So he's saying by following Buddha's path, actually, one can show respect to Buddha. Surely, for the good of so many, did Maya give birth to Gautama. That means his real mother was Maya. So for this good of the humanity, Maya gave birth to this illustrious son, Siddhartha Buddha, who burst asunder the mass of pain. That means Buddha who burst asunder the mass of pain of those stricken by sickness and death. So he actually relieves the pain of suffering of a large number of humanity. So that is why the real mother of Siddhartha Buddha actually gave birth to this son. So this is a eulogy, if you call it, that was composed by Mahaprajapati. Theri means monk, nun, and this was in Pali language, and it was translated by one translator. His name was Andrew Wolensky. I found it in what is called in internet. So this is the life story of Lord Buddha, and now we are. That is the end of today's talk, and I have some announcements before I conclude. So Wednesday we shall continue our study of Uddhava Gita, and we are towards the end. We are on the 20th chapter. So that will be on May 13th at 7:30 p.m. Then Friday, our Swami Shuddhananda will continue his discussion group on Aparakshanabhuti, that book of non-dualist Vedanta. Then Saturday, we shall continue our discourse on Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna at 7:30 p.m. That is on May 16th. And Sunday, the lecture title is The Sacred Act of Eating. That talk will be given by Swami Shuddhananda. That is on May 17th at 11 a.m. So all these classes and lecture will be available on Zoom, and especially the lecture, Sunday lecture will be on YouTube live also. And if you want, you can go to our website, vedantasactor.org, and details of the Zoom meeting. And I thank you very much for having your patience. And now I shall conclude with a benediction. Om madhuvatharitayate madhuksharanti sindhavaha madhirna santoshadhihi madhunakto mutosasi madhumat parthivogang rajaha madhudaurastuna pita madhumanna vanaspatihi madhumagang astu suryaha madhirgavo bhavantu naha. Om Madhu, Madhu, Madhu. Sweet by the winds and the oceans give forth blessedness. May the earths and plants bring us health and happiness. Sweet unto us with the nights and dawns. May every particle of Mother Earth be charged with blessings. May the heavens shower us with benediction. Sweet unto us with the noble forest trees. Sweet unto us with the shining sun. Sweet unto us with the all living creation. Om, sweetness, harmony, peace.